Hello, Radiant One, and welcome to Spiritual Business with Mariaestela, the show and podcast for soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, business owners, and Magdalenes rising, ready to expand and wanting to lead with love in business and life. I am your host, spiritual business coach, mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Mariaestela, and it is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. If you feel the deep stirrings of something new asking to be born through you, go to mariaestela.com/DCIA to download the free guide, Divine Clarity and Inspired Action, that I've created for you. Divine Clarity and Inspired Action will help you to connect deeply with your divine feminine essence of gnosis, wisdom, knowledge, and intuition, as well as activate your divine masculine essence of action, creation, expansion, and building, so that you may experience the satisfaction, the joy, and the liberation that comes from bringing to life that which you are here to birth, while being, doing, and living your soul's divine purpose. On my website, you will also find show notes, transcripts, and previous episodes. Hello, Radiant One. We are coming up on a time where a lot of people are going to be having vacation or holiday or time off. And even though I'm a strong advocate for taking time off, making sure that you rest and really don't do shit in your vacation or your time off that has to do with your business, I also know that very often it is in those times when we give ourselves permission to rest that, our divine feminine really rises and becomes strong. It's when all of the downloads or the intuitions and the nudges that's been waiting because you've been working, they begin to show up. And so there is this desire to actually do things. And therefore I thought I would share my Divine Clarity and Inspired Action process. The Divine Clarity and Inspired Action is a free guide that you can download on my website. You go to mariaestela.com/DCIA and you can get it. So you can get what I'm talking about. But I just thought that I would take you through the process. And especially now, because if that is the case, you can just, go ahead and download it, have it with you, and then go through the process and get it out of your system. Because if and when that inspiration strikes or the divine feminine within you really rises and is asking you for you to birth whatever, it can be a book, or it can be a new course, it can be a program, it can be an online product, it can be all of your blog posts or newsletters for the next year, it can be social media content. There's really no stopping to what you can use the Divine Clarity and the Inspired Action guide or process for. I'm not sure if I've shared this before, but the process is something that I have used for the past, I don't know, however many years. It's something that I've just been doing automatically. And it wasn't until someone else saw it and was like, can I have that as well? And then I began sharing it, and people really, really find it useful because it's both intuitive and connecting with your divine feminine. But if you know anything about me, you know that accountability and action step, aka what's within the divine masculine, is so important as well. So it's the combination of those two that creates the sacred marriage and really brings joy and satisfaction into your business. Like it's a sense of wholeness. It's a sense of your connection to your divine feminine and your connection to your divine masculine. It's a sense of marrying those two and just seeing how powerful a marriage that is and what that can do for you and for your business, for your sanity, for your automation, for your structure, for your foundation, for your visibility, for your consistency, I am sure that by now you probably get that I am pretty excited about this process. And it's because I see how it works for me, and I of course see how it works for those I'm blessed to hold space for who also use this process. But I think I've spoken enough about that. Let's go through it. So it is, Divine Clarity and Inspired Action consists of 7 steps. It has the first step is preparation. That's where you get everything ready. You may want to find a time in your calendar where you are going to schedule out time, and you can do this anywhere, whether you are going to the beach or you can go to your favorite local coffee shop and do this, or you can do it at home or with friends or go to a library, or like there's really no stopping. But in the preparation phase, you find a time for when to do it, and you make sure that you have some post-it notes and some pens. Now, if you're like me, you may not be fully content with just one color of post-it notes. I am someone who, I adore. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can probably see, or on my website, you can probably see up here behind me, you will see that I have a full list of different post-it notes. So I like to have different colors, I like to have different pens, but that's just me. You can do this with just one color and just one post-it notes. But make sure that you have enough, because you never know what is going to come through. So that's the preparation phase. Then there is the second step, which is the opening step. That's when I encourage you to take a moment to, do like a deep breathing and just be still within, connect, open yourself up to what's about to come. And just, connect, whether you do that through an essential oil or have some crystals, if you want to chant a mantra, if you want to play some music, if you just want to be still. In anything and everything that I teach, it's about, there is a method and a structured way to do things, but it's also about finding the way that works for you. So how you do that step, like the surrounding, that's up to you to know what serves you. And some things may serve you at one point and some things may serve you at another point. So just be open. So you open yourself up. You may want to say a prayer. I believe I've shared a prayer in the Divine Clarity and Inspired Action Guide. But you open yourself up for what is to come through, and you allow for that divine feminine wisdom, the gnosis, the knowledge, the intuition to come through. You acknowledge that now is the time. And then the third step is pouring. I like to call it pouring because you're essentially pouring out everything. That's when you use your post-it notes and your pens. So maybe if this is the first time you're doing it, maybe you've got so much on your mind that you're doing like a broad general overview. You can do that. Or if you are doing it for one specific thing, if you're like, I have people who've done this for their books, for their courses, for their programs, for their services, I've used it in that way myself, for podcast episodes, for whatever. But the first is the pouring, and there's really you don't hold yourself back. You just allow whatever comes up. So when something comes up, you write it in a post-it note and you pick up the next, and you just go through. There's no judgment. There's no holding yourself back. Just allow what is coming through to come through and get it all out. I like to set an alarm, or I don't do that. I used to do that in the beginning, and I do encourage you to do that. But in the beginning, I would set an alarm for like 20 minutes and just do the riff for 20 minutes. And that way I knew. And then when the time was up, see if there's still more to come or not. If you're done, then go fine. If you're not, then spend a few more minutes just really pouring everything out that wants to come through. The fourth step is sorting what now has come out. And before you go into sorting, I want you to take a moment and just acknowledge just how magnificent and powerful and amazing you are for having allowed all of that to come through you. And just, take a moment to shower yourself with love and acknowledge you for what you've just brought through. Fourth step is the sorting step. That's when we begin to organize and we begin to come structured. You go through the post-it notes and you start to see, are there specific groupings? Are there certain ways that they are, is there a specific theme that seems to be coming up? Is it, if you're doing it for, let's say you're doing it for a book, can you then see the different chapters, or even within the chapters, can you see the different subtitles, the headings and the liners? Can you see, is there a specific theme in terms of your social media? Is it blog posts? Like whatever the groupings there appear to be, start to group them into those different groupings. And once you have the groupings, you want to see if there are some that are similar, because that's totally fine. When you first start this process, if you find yourself stopping and you don't really feel like anything is coming through, just write the same thing over and over again, and then Spirit will guide you and things will start to flow when you just allow yourself to get into that state. So you sort it, and you see if there are things that are similar or kind of similar. Then those two, you or three or whatever, however many there are, you add them together. This also gives you an idea of what is really calling you right now, maybe in that sense. And then the fifth step is prioritizing, because we are, as much spirit as we are, as much soulful beings as we are in human form, and so everything cannot happen all at once. So there is that task of prioritizing what is most important to me and what is not. I don't want to say less important, but start by prioritizing. And the way that I like to do that, or the way that I recommend that you do that, is, find the one that really tugs at your heartstrings, like, oh, this one, I want to start with this one. And then you put that into like spot number one. And then you take the next one and you ask yourself, is this one more or less important than the one before? And if it's less, it's underneath. If it's more important, you switch out that one. And as you do that, you go through all of them, and that will give you a prioritized order in which to do things. And this is the step that most people skip or don't do: the prioritizing, and then also the inspired action. We have had for a good while now the rise of our divine feminine essence. That is the realm of our intuition, our knowledge, our wisdom, our gnosis. But we have also been so conditioned by what I call the shadow masculine realm, which is pushing, forcing, coercing, manipulating, and coming from that space of fear. So that our divine masculine essence of creation, of building a foundation, has not really been allowed to serve us. And with divine clarity and inspired action, that is really what I want you to focus on: finding ways to do things from an inspired place and taking action, because you have something on your heart that is meant to be shared in this world. And if you don't do it, no one else will. It may come out in a different format, but the only one with your voice, with your experience, with your knowledge, with your combination of skills, of talents, of insights, there's no one else like you, which is why it's so important that once you've sorted, once you've poured, once you've sorted, once you've prioritized, that you then also add some action steps. And there are different ways that you can do that. You can start by taking number one and just adding onto a list 3 things that you want to do. And I encourage you to do one thing right after you've gone through the process. Just one thing, because that means that you've started. That means that you're doing it. It doesn't mean that it's something that's being pushed. It means that it's something you're doing. And depending on where you're at in your business, you may be inundated with a ton of work. I would encourage you to find, an hour or a day or something where you know that you set aside time to work on this project or whatever it is, so that it actually gets put out into the world. And finally, the 7th step is the closing step. That's where you acknowledge yourself for what you've gone through, for what you've poured out, what you've done so far. You acknowledge your guides. You share your gratitude for what has come through. You thank your guides or whoever's helped you, and then you close it down. Yeah. I would love to hear from you if you have used divine clarity and inspired action to bring something to life. Would you please share that with me in the comments, because that way we can inspire others, because I know that there are a million ways that this can be used. And so I would love for you to share how you have used it. You can also tag me on Instagram, share a photo or a story on Instagram and tag me. I would love to see that as well. I hope this has served you. As I said, you can go ahead and get Divine Clarity and Inspired Action. It's free. It's on mariaestela.com/DCIA. I love you. Take care. That is what I had for you in today's episode of Spiritual Business with Mariaestela. I hope it served you well. For all of the deets and the details, click the link in the description. And if you enjoyed this episode, support its message by sharing it with a friend or on social media, or leave me a comment or review. God bless.